Hello, everybody. Lucy here. Yeah, this video is going to be very different from normal. I am forcing you people to listen to some of the voice messages I made when I was like half asleep and super crazy, insane, unhinged about this book. Just so you know, like, warning, this book has to do with like stalking. There's like some stuff with stalking. There's some stuff with like, other like content warnings. The book's name is Lights Out, so go ahead and look up the book. If any of that stuff like freaks you out or whatever, don't bother listening, I guess. But for the most part, it is the least serious thing ever. To me personally, this is like the most unserious thing. But like, if it's something that bothers you, go ahead and click off this video. You don't have to listen to it. Anyway, I genuinely feel like I am never going to reach the peak comedy that I had recording these voice messages half asleep at like 2 a.m. So yeah, I am subjecting you people to this. Okay, hope you have fun. Okay. So this book, so basically I heard some clips from the audiobook when I was flipping through TikTok, and it sounded so fucking funny. I was all like, I could use a good comedy. I need to read like a good old comedy or whatever. And it turns out, so like, I'm sitting around on TikToker and I get this audio from an audiobook, and it was so fucking funny. Like, I was listening to it and I was like, oh my god, this is hilarious. Where the fuck is this from? Like, literally, where is this from? It is so fucking funny. I need to know. Like, I was trying to figure out where the audio was from, because like every once in a while I'll get like a little audio that pops up on my TikTok feed, and it's obviously from like a book or from a movie or something like that, and I'm like, I need to find it so I could add it to my to watch or to read list, because I really like whatever that line of dialogue is, or it was really like sweet, or I really want to hear the voice actor and that sort of thing. So I go in and then I'm all like, okay, what is this from? And then it gives me the book recommendation. It's like, it's from this book. And I'm like, okay, let me try looking it up. Like, this audiobook, it sounds so fucking funny, and I could use like some sort of comedy shit right now, because like a lot of my usual comedy stuff is like kind of on the back burner. Like, a lot of the comedy manga that I'm following are just kind of like, they're not updating right now, or they're taking for fucking ever to update. Like, there's this one comedy manga that I've been following for a while, and it hasn't updated in literal months. Like, months. And I'm like, okay, I guess. And I read the tags and it was like, ooh, dark romance or whatever. And I was like, oh, it's gonna be one of those. But it sounded so fucking funny. So I was like, at the very least, this is gonna be like a train crash. And if it's really shit, then I could like drop it. But if it's so shit that it's actually funny, then I can enjoy it. And imagine my pleasant surprise, where it turns out it's actually pretty well written. And it's actually pretty decently funny, but also like the way that it's written, it's very obvious what the fuck the author is into, if that makes sense. So basically, like, I'm reading through the tags in this book, because like, so the author tagged it the same way that you would tag a fan fiction. So I'm all like, okay, this is gonna be good. Like, because she gave a list of all of the shit that's going to be in the book in the beginning of the book. And I'm like, the audiobook sounds completely insane, and it sounds really, really fucking funny. But I want to like read the book to see if there's any actual substance, instead of trying to go in and waste like hours of my life listening to an audiobook that, like, it turns out like there was only like 2 funny bits in the whole book, and then the rest of it was bad. So I was like, let me go ahead and look at it. And like, she added a list of shit in the very beginning. And then she was all like, okay, here's a questionable list of stuff. And I was sitting there and I was all like, oh, how are some of these things even in this book? Like, because most of the dark romance girls, they're like, oh, I'm into dark romance, but it's literally just porn, and most of it is just like rape porn. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But then this one had like an actual list of like some really crazy shit, and I was like, okay, I need to see what the fuck is going on in this thing. Like, what even is this? And it turns out like half of the porn is, I mean, like half of the book is legitimately like erotica or whatever the fuck, but like a good chunk of it is actual romantic pining. And I'm like, oh, thank God, there's like actual character development and romantic pining, and it's actually pretty decently written. But also, you could tell that this author may or may not have been like a fanfic author before. Like, I don't know. There's just something about the writing. There's something in the air with the writing. Not only that, but also the way that she describes very particular things and the way that she like came up with very particular stuff. I was like, this is Scream fanfiction. Like dead ass. I was like, oh my God, this is just straight up Scream fanfiction. I can tell. I can tell because like the whole okay, now I know I actually have to tell you the plot of the book so that you understand what the fuck I'm going on about. So basically the plot of the book is this. It's supposed to be a romance, but it's like a romantic comedy. But it's a romantic comedy that's like a black comedy, you know? Like this is like Heather's territory black comedy. If that makes sense. Like this is like if Heather's was an actual romance in the end or whatever, you know? And I'm all like, okay, I could get behind that. Because I love you know me. I love Heather's, I love Gone Girl, I love all of that shit. So I'm all like, okay, like this is actually something that's up my alley. So basically, the plot of the book is this. There's there's basically like two main characters that actually matter. The two main characters are the main girl and the main guy, right? I'm not even going to bother giving you their names right now because they're literally the only characters that matter. No, there's a third character. The main girl's cat. His name is Fred. I'm going to tell you his name because he matters so bad to the plot. Anyway, no, but like it's the main guy and it's the main girl, right? The main girl, she's like a nurse or whatever. She's like a trauma nurse at the ER. And she's like kind of low key, like super burnt out and fucked up from her job. And she also has a lot of trauma because like her mom died in front of her in a car crash. And like she decided to become a nurse because she has like this weird guilt thing where she's all like, if I become a nurse and I save people, it's like I'm saving my mom or whatever the fuck, you know. But she's like going to therapy about it, but like she still doesn't like she's all like, haha, thanks a lot, therapist. But then she doesn't actually do any of the shit that the therapist tells her to do. Like she's one of those types of people, you know, where she's like, oh my God, like fucking whatever, you know. And then the male lead dude, he's also like kind of fucked up because like they tell you this in the very beginning of the story. Like his dad, like so like he's a hacker or whatever the fuck. And he may or may not work for the US government or he works for some big company on like contract or whatever. Because like he's just really really good at his job. So he basically makes sure that all of their firewalls are like perfectly good. Like he basically just makes sure that their security is like tight and nobody's going to hack in and nothing shit is going to happen to like the government infrastructure or whatever, right? So as a result, he makes pretty good money. Ignore my heater. It just turned on because it got cold in here. Anyway, no. So he's like a hacker or whatever the fuck. But he's more so like a security dude. So he's like, okay. And his dad was like a serial killer or whatever. And it like kind of low key fucked him up really bad because like he saw his dad like beat the shit out of his mom. And then he saw his dad like do all this other mess, you know? So he's all like, Jesus fucking Christ, you know, like this is like severely fucked up. Like I hate all of this. I hate everything having to do with this, you know? But like, and as a result, he's like high key traumatized from all that shit. So he's like constantly on edge. And he's like constantly keeping tabs on the people that he cares about. Like he's constantly like checking in on his mom's phone, like hacking into her phone to like check her location and make sure that she's okay. And he's like tracking his best friend's location in order to make sure he's okay because he's constantly like somebody might kill them. He's always on like kind of high alert, anxious, where he's like somebody's gonna try to fucking kill my mom, or somebody might try to like fucking kill my stepdad, or somebody might try to fucking kill my best friend and all this shit, you know? Like he's just like, oh my God, like he's kind of scared of his own shadow. Like he's big, like he's freaked out about all that shit. And for the most part, his family don't really mind because his mom is equally as freaked the fuck out about these sorts of things. So she's like totally cool with it. She's like, yeah, I don't mind. Because she's just as traumatized as him, because of course she is, like she's his mom. And then the stepdad and the best friend are like, no, yeah, we totally understand, we get it, you know? like, this is just how your trauma is like manifesting or whatever. But he's also like constantly freaked out that he's gonna end up like his dad. He's all like, Jesus Christ, what if I end up like my dad? What if I end up like my dad? What if I end up like my dad? You know, like, he's always freaking out about that shit. And as a result, he looks just like his dad. And because his dad's serial killer case was so high profile and he looks just like his dad, a lot of people automatically like kind of recognize him out in the street. So he's like super like on edge and scared of like dating. He's super scared of like getting around basically anybody because he's all like, they're gonna start needling me with questions about my dad. They might like harass my mom about like, oh, what about this, what about that, like that sort of thing, you know. Like, he's like severely like freak the fuck out about all that shit, you know. So he's all like, oh my god, like, what if this thing happens, what if that thing happens, you know. So he's like, he's basically, he just has an anxiety disorder. Like, dude just straight up has an anxiety disorder. He's just like, like freaking out all the time. And he has like a TikTok where he like, it doesn't explicitly say that he has a TikTok because, you know, like, for legal reasons it's a joke, for legal reasons it's a joke, but like, yeah, he has a TikTok. Like, basically, dude has like kind of a thirst trap TikTok where he doesn't show his face. Like, he always wears some kind of mask to obscure his face. And this is what I mean when I say that this is high key like fanfic, because like the kind of mask that the author described, she was like, oh, it was like totally unique and he made it himself and blah blah blah. But like, the way that she described it, it's literally the ghost face mask. And then the way that she describes his like general, like, how he's just kind of funny and he's like bouncing around and stuff like that, he's literally just Matthew Lillard in Scream. Like, just dead ass, just straight up. He's approximately the same height. He's a different build because, you know, she's like building her dream man or whatever. So he's like kind of a muscular, like, big guy, but he's basically the same height as Matthew Lillard, same general build as Matthew Lillard. He's just more muscular, and he has the same almost the same exact general, like, kind of funny whatever, like he's just like really goofy and silly like Matthew Lillard. Like, she literally just made him Matthew Lillard in Scream. He's literally Stu. Like, that is it. He is fucking Shaggy in Scream. That's it. Like, it's literally just him. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, the way that she describes like the mask he wears to hide his identity, and the way that she describes like the thirst traps that he makes, it's literally just Scream. Like, a girl is into Scream, and she was trying to pretend that she's not, but she is. Anyway, no. So he thirst traps as like Matthew Lillard in fucking Scream or whatever on TikTok. And the lead girl, she's like, I don't know, she's like flipping through TikTok. She finds his account, and it gives her like, it kind of helps her unwind after being stuck at work all day to like check out his account and then just be completely unhinged in his comment section. Yeah, like, you've probably seen some of the comment sections for some of these people, like for some of these thirst traps and shit like that, where it's all like, some of these people are legitimately insane, and she's one of those people where she's just typing all kinds of crazy insane shit, you know. So basically, he does a thirst trap thing, or whatever, because he's all like, I need some form of human connection, and I go to the gym constantly. I need at least somebody to, like, you know, tell me that I look nice, because he hasn't dated anyone in fucking years because he's terrified of people. So he's all like, I at least want some people to fluff up my ego. So he posts like thirst traps online, and then she watches the thirst traps because she's all like, I need something to like unwind after the day, and what's nicer to unwind than like drinking a glass of wine and then watching a thirst trap of like the dude from Scream, like, you know, as some people are known to do. Anyway, no, so she's sitting around, she's doing that. She's typing out her, like, completely unhinged, like, comments. And some of her unhinged comments are legitimately like, oh, I wish he would, like, break into my house and be in my room or whatever. Or she was like, oh, I would think it would be so hot if he like, you know, was like stalking me or some shit, or if he showed up in my house and stuff like that. You know, like the crazy insane shit that they tend to write in comment sections. And then the dude, so basically, like, she ends up deciding, hey, I'm gonna message my situationship or whatever, and I'm gonna ask him if he's willing to try dressing up as the fucking ghost face or whatever. Because I think it's hot. So she sends him like one of the screenshots of the video, and she's like, "Hey, do you mind like dressing up as Ghostface? Because I think it's hot." And then her situationship was all like, "Actually, I'm seeing somebody right now." Because like you low-key ghosted me for like 2 months. He's like, you low-key ghosted me for like 2 months. So like I'm actually seeing somebody else, and also I ain't into that. And then he's like, I don't get why you're into Ghostface. That's kind of fucking weird. And he's like, I don't get it. And then he's like, so no. And then so her situationship, he shows his roommate, right? Oh, who's his best friend? Like his roommate is his best friend. And he shows his roommate, and then he's like, hey, like, look at this thing that my ex situationship sent me after ghosting me for like 2 months. This is what she sends me because she's like super busy with work, so she tends to like fall off the grid and then like come back. And he's like, look at this shit that my ex sent me or whatever, right? And he shows it to his roommate. And then the roommate is like, Jesus Christ. Because it turns out, like, he's the guy. Like, he's the guy in the screenshot. And then he's all like, oh my God. Like, then and he's like super embarrassed. And he doesn't want his best friend to know that that's fucking him. So he like deletes the picture. But like, it's kind of implied throughout the book that the best friend may or may not know that it's him, and the best friend may or may not be purposefully trying to get the two of them together. Because the thing is that the main guy, right? He had a crush on the girl. Like he met her this one time when she slept over at their apartment, and like they had coffee and they made like some basic kind of chit chat, and then he ran off to his room because he was freaked out that maybe she recognized him or whatever the fuck, you know? He was all like, oh my God, what if she recognizes me? And he runs off. And she's just like, okay, whatever. He was being weird about it. But then, like, he also kind of really had a crush on her. He thought that she was really, really pretty. But he didn't want to do anything about it because, you know, that's like his roommate and his best friend's like girl. So he's like, you know what? I'm not going to get involved in that. I don't want to. He's like, I have a crush on her, but I'm not going to do anything about it, you know? So the dude, like, when his best friend is all like, oh, we've been over for like months. I don't really care. I'm seeing somebody new, blah, 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 blah. And then he finds out that she's actually been following his like account and all that shit and posting like the most unhinged, crazy shit in his comments. And then he's like, maybe she likes me too. Like, maybe she'll actually like me too, or whatever. So he decides like he's reading through her comments, and some of her comments are like, you know, completely unhinged. Like, I wish he'd break into my house, like shit like that, you know. And so he's all like, wait a second, because he's like a hacker, and he knows how to pick locks specifically because his mom apparently like locked herself out of the house so many fucking times that he had to learn how to pick locks in order to get her back in her goddamn house. So he's all like, what if I actually break into her house and I like record a thirst trap like in her place, you know, and see how she reacts to it or whatever, you know. He's all like, I think that would be like really like funny, haha, silly, because like this dude is like low-key kind of unhinged. Like he has no general normal idea of how anything works, but he's also like super anxious about everything all the time. So like he's like low-key freaking out about it, but he's also like, no, this is a good normal idea, because his mom is like kind of unhinged and crazy, and like his best friend is like low-key like not really telling him, yo, that's unhinged and crazy. Like his best friend is just like, yeah, he's just like that. Like his best friend does not give a shit. So as a result, he has no general census of like, this is normal behavior versus this is abnormal behavior. Like he is semi-aware that this is abnormal behavior, but he thinks in the moment, he's not really thinking, where he's all like, oh, she's saying this kind of shit, maybe this is something she actually wants to try out or whatever, you know. So bro breaks into her house and he meets her cat. This is very important to me that you know that he meets her cat, and her cat is very funny. Her cat is a black and white cat, and his name is Fred, and he's very fluffy, and he is genuinely the best character in the whole book. He is adorable, and he's cute, and he's sweet, and he meows all the time. He's always like, meow, meow, and he demands pets, and he demands to be paid attention to, and he steals bacon, and he's very cute, and he's very silly. Anyway, So like he goes in, he meets her cat, and the thing is that he's always freaking out and scared that he's gonna end up like his dad, right? He's like, what if I end up like my dad? What if I end up like my dad? And the thing is that a lot of serial killers, you know, they hurt animals. So he meets the cat, and then he's like, oh my god, what if I want to hurt the cat? But then he figures out really quickly, I actually don't really want to hurt the cat. Like, why would I want to hurt the cat? Look at him, he's so cute, he's so fluffy. And he ends up getting completely distracted from everything he's trying to do. From everything he's trying to do, just sitting around, like, playing with the cat and petting him and all this. Like, he broke into her house and he's busy, like, playing with her cat. And he's like, no, wait, I was gonna film some shit in her house or whatever. So he goes over there. He films the stuff that he was gonna film. And then, like, he goes home and he sets up everything so that it doesn't look like anybody broke into her house. You know, like, he like, fixes her locks and he sets everything up for her, you know. And he's all like, okay, everything's, like, set up or whatever, right? So then he goes home, and then he edits his little thirst trap or whatever, and then he posts it, right? And she goes back to her place, and then she sees the video that he posted, like, while she was at work, and she recognized the comforter from her bed, but instead of thinking, oh, some dude broke into my house, she was all like, oh, wow, he got the same comforter as me. So then she posted something, like a comment where she was all like, oh my god, that's the same comforter that I have, haha. And then he's like, it's over for you bitches, it's like he's at my house or something like that, like as a joke. But then like I forget exactly what happens, but like he ends up like messaging her or something, so they end up like talking, and he ends up sending her like another video where it's very aggressively obvious that he was at her house. And she's like, wait a fucking second. Like, she recognizes her dresser. She recognizes her mirror. She recognizes her window and everything. And she's like, oh my fucking god. And the thing is that while he was there, he also, like, hacked into some of her shit, you know? So he, like, hacked into her computer. And he, like, hacked into her phone. I think he, like, cloned it or something. And he, like, also left, like, a couple of, like, little cameras here and there. He left one in her room specifically so that he could see her reaction when she, like, you know, sees the video and all that other shit, right? And, like, as soon as he gets home, he is all like, oh my god, what the fuck? Wait, what if she's actually not into it? What if it was all just fantasy shit that she was writing? Oh my god, I'm a criminal! And he immediately has, like, low-key an anxiety attack. And, like, a mental breakdown about it. He's like, oh my god! And then she sees all of that stuff. She realizes somebody was in her house, and then she starts going around like he leaves like one of the scream masks like on her bed, you know. He leaves like one of the ghost face masks there to like let her know like, hey, haha, I was in your house, you know. And then she like starts kind of low-key freaking out, but she's also like kind of into it at the same time, because she's also unhinged. Because here's the thing, is that she's not just traumatized from her mom, she's also traumatized from like part of her family is high-key in the mob. And their whole thing is they copy her keys and they put trackers on her and they follow her around. So she's also kind of used to this behavior to a certain extent. Like, she knows that it's wrong and it does kind of freak her out. But at the same time, she's like low-key, like, you know what? This might as well happen. Like... like, this is a normal day for me. So, like, the two of them are just as, like, fucked up as each other. And it's genuinely really, really funny. Because he's all like, no, I don't want to be fucked up. And he's trying to figure out how to not be like that. But at the same time, he just gives in to whatever anxious thought that he has. And she's like, this might as well happen. Like, like, adult life is already just so weird. Like, she's just, like, kind of, she's bothered by it. But at the same time, she's also not bothered by it. And then he's, like, freaking out. He's like, oh, my God, what if she feels like she can't trust me? Like, why the fuck would she think she could trust you? So then he ends up, like, sending her, like, a video of him with her cat. Where he's all like, look, see, me and your cat got along. And then she doesn't believe him, but he's, like, sending her, like, kind of joke messages where he's, like, being kind of sarcastic and he's being kind of silly. He's giving, like, Big in Sex and the City energy, Loki. You know how Big is, like, kind of jokey and silly with Gary, and he's, like, 100% not serious, and he's just kind of joking around, and he's always, like, just saying, like, he's always, like, kind of smirking and being, like, kind of silly. That's the way that this dude is, like, he's very Big-coded in a way, if that makes sense. So, like, as a result, he's like, kind of like, oh, haha, you know? Like, he's not being serious about anything. I'm 100% positive he is either an Aquarius or he's, like, a Sagittarius. But I think I'm leaning more towards Sagittarius or whatever, because he has, like, he's way more emotional than an Aquarius is. And also, I feel like he's okay. So, like in the book, the vibes that I get off of him are that he's probably a Sag, but he probably has like some Virgo in him somewhere because he's just such a nervous wreck all the fucking time about everything. But he also doesn't take anything serious the way that like Sages do not take shit serious, you know? But he's too emotional to be an air sign, if that makes sense. Anyway, no. So then Bro is like low key, he's all like, oh my god, I have to try to make it up to her. So then instead of, you know, not stalking her, he like sends her a bunch of flowers and he sends her a bunch of like all this other shit. He's like, I sent you a new security system because you clearly need one. And then he's like, if I was able to break into your house so easy, you need a security system. And then he's all like, oh, you know, he's all like, I got you a new security system and I got you all these flowers. And then also she like, she ended up needing to spend like $50 in order to get all of the flowers out of her house because she has too many damn flowers. Because he literally bought her a whole flower shop's worth of flowers. And she's like, I can't have all these fucking flowers. And then she ended up paying $50. So then he ends up like sending her $50 to make up for the amount that she got with the flowers. And then she's like, how the fuck do you have all this information? Why the fuck do you know all this shit? And then she realizes, she like puts two and two together and she realizes that he could hear her through like, he could see and hear her through her laptop camera, that he can see the things that she's searching. And also that he has a camera somewhere, you know? Because he ends up sending her something so that she could tell that he has like a camera in her house, like a hidden one. And she's like, oh my fucking god. And like, she's like pissed off at him, but she's also not so pissed off at him to where like she won't message him again or whatever. Like she's constantly checking her phone and she's like, has he messaged me yet? Has he messaged me yet? Has he messaged me yet? Like, girl, you have a problem too. You are just as fucked up as he is. Like, both of them are just a mess. Both of them are just legitimately like a fucked up mess. And it is very, very funny because both of them are like, I'm so normal. Neither of you are fucking normal. Like, neither of you are normal. Both of you are insane. You are both completely insane. Like, but it's so fucking funny. It's just so funny because like every time he has like a mental, like every single time he has a mental breakdown about it, it's so funny because he's all like, oh my god, she thinks I'm a serial killer. And he's like, what am I going to do? I have to, and he's like, what am I going to say? Oh, sure, I'm going to message her. And then he'd be all like, hey, hi, this is the guy that broke into your house. Just letting you know, I did break into your house and I am recording you and I did set up cameras, but I am not a serial killer. Like, and he's like, sure, yeah. Have her call the fucking cops on me. Jesus fucking Christ. And then he's like, my therapist shouldn't have taken me off of the antipsychotics because clearly I fucking need them if I'm stalking somebody. Like he's freaking out about it. And then meanwhile, she's sitting there and she's like, this is fucked up. This is crazy. And then she's like, but he's still hot though. Is it not hot? Isn't a little light stalking like kind of hot though? Like she's like low-key rational. She's like, you know, I kind of messaged him and I left comments telling him that he should show up at my house, and then he did show up at my house. Like, what was I expecting? And he didn't hurt my cat. So like, I don't know. Like, she also has a gut feeling that he's not gonna hurt her. You know, she's like, I just feel like he's not gonna hurt me. You know, and she's like, I just know he's not gonna hurt me. But like, whatever. Like, and so he starts, like, he ends up hacking into, like, because, you know, he's fucking stalking her. So he, like, hacks into her work's cameras, like, the work security camera. So he could, like, watch her at work and check up on her, or whatever the fuck, at work. And then he ends up posting, like, a joke sort of thirst trap where he's, like, looking out a window, and then they're, like, playing, like, sad music or whatever, like, look at this photograph. Like, this is legitimately what I imagined when I was reading this bit. He's like standing there and he's looking out the window and he's like, man, and he's wearing like this stupid fucking like ghost face mask, and it's like, look at this photograph. Like he's posting another like fucking thirst trap onto TikTok, but he posts like an actual like comment or whatever this one time where he's all like, when she's mad at you, like a joke post or some shit. And then she ends up commenting without thinking, where she's like, what if she has a good reason to be mad at you? What if you like broke into her house and watching her on cameras and shit, you know? But the thing is that she doesn't say all that. She's like, what if she has a good reason to be mad at you? But immediately after she says that, all of the other commenters immediately put two and two together. Because the last comment said, oh, those are my sheets. Like, that is my comforter set. And then the next comment is, what if she has a good reason to be mad at you? So then the rest of the commenters put two and two together. And they're like, are you his girlfriend? And they immediately, like, jump at her. All like, oh my god, you're his girlfriend. Oh my god, this. Oh my god, that. Like, they're, like, freaking the fuck out. And they immediately, like, jump down her throat. Like, why are you mad at him? Why are you mad at him? Like, all this shit, you know? And then she's like, leave me alone. I shouldn't have said that. And then she goes back to work, right? And she's, like, tired as shit at work. Because she's all like, oh my god, I've been awake too long. I've been at work too long. I need to go home, but I'm like half asleep and it's fucking snowing. I'm just gonna order an Uber. I'm gonna get my shit out of my car and I'm gonna order a fucking Uber. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care. And then she goes over and then she sees that he's in her fucking car. He broke into her car. And then she's like, why are you here? What the fuck is going on? And then he refuses to talk to her because he doesn't want her to figure out who he is yet. He's all like, if she figures out who I am, what if she's not into this? And she's like, gonna call the police. Oh my god, I'm just like my dad. Like, he's freaking the fuck out. And then meanwhile, she's sitting there and she's all like, dude, why are you in my car? But he put actual legitimate weapons right there for her. He's like, look, you can get the weapons. If I misbehave or something, you could just straight up kill me, or you could, like, you have something to defend yourself with, right? Like, you have something to defend yourself within the car. So if something happens, you can always do that. And then she's like, okay, fine. Take me home, country road, or whatever, right? So then he goes to take her home. And she gets so distracted, just like obsessing over like how hot he is or whatever, that she ends up like trying to feel him up in the car, and it's like, it's a whole thing or whatever. Who gives a shit? I don't care about that. What I do care about though is that right after she finishes feeling him up or like sucking him off or whatever the fuck it was that she was doing, I literally do not remember because I do not care. Like, I don't care about all that. What I do care about is the fact that she stabbed his ass by accident. Like, she stabbed his hand by accident, and he was like in his head, he was all like, I'm supposed to be mysterious, and I'm supposed to be hot, and I'm supposed to be like a hot, mysterious stalker, but like, owie! Like, he's trying really, really hard not to make it obvious that it fucking hurts. And he's like bleeding all over the place, and he's like, but he's all like, I'm gonna be a big boy about it. But then she sees the blood, and she's like, Jesus Christ, I stabbed you! And she freaks the fuck out. So she lets him into her house, willingly this time. And she notices that her cat actually likes him. And the thing is, her cat fucking hates men. Her cat was like Blackjack. You know how Blackjack like fucking hates men? That's what her cat was like. Her cat just fucking hates men, but he likes him. And then she's all like, you bribed my cat. But he's not saying anything to her because he's like, oh my god. So she stitches him back up because, she's a nurse, so she could do that shit. So she stitches him back up, and he's all like, I am leaving. I have to go home. He's like, I can't stay around. And then he's like, no. And then she's like, oh my god, like, he's going to leave, and I'll probably never see him again because I stabbed his ass. And she's like, Jesus Christ, like, he's never gonna see me again. And meanwhile, he's sitting there, and he's all like, oh my god, I'm in love with her. And it's very fucking funny. Like, the two thought processes are very, very silly. And he ends up breaking into her house again, but he leaves her breakfast this time, and he also shovels her driveway of all of the snow. But when he shovels her driveway, he's not wearing anything to like cover his face so she can't recognize him or whatever. It's literally just him. So the neighbor sees him, and the neighbor is all like, oh, he's really hot, or like, he's really handsome. And then she's like, I hope that you keep that guy, because it's really nice that he did some manual labor. He said that you guys got into a fight and you were mad at him, so he like shoveled your driveway. That's so sweet that you got like a sweet guy like that. And then the girl is all like, I am not about to tell my neighbor that this dude is like high-key stalking me or whatever. And she's like, wait a second, my ex situationship or whatever, his roommate was into like hacking and shit, so maybe he could figure out who this guy is. He could figure out who my stalker is, and if he figures out who my stalker is, then like I can get back at him. So she, instead of doing the normal rational thing, which is calling the cops, which again, I'm telling you, these two are made for each other because they're both clinically insane. Like they're literally both crazy. Like it's so funny. Like they match each other's crazy, and it's so fucking funny. Anyway, no. So she's all like, instead of calling the cops, I'm gonna try to get back at him by stalking him. Like, I'm gonna stalk him back. So she talks to her ex, and then the ex is all like, oh yeah, sure, like, let me talk to him about it. And high key, the ex is like low key trying to get the two of them together. Like, he's not saying anything about it, but I think he's figured out that something's going on. So he's all like, I'm trying to get these two together. So he's kind of sets it up for the two of them to, like, you know, have alone time together and all this shit. So she comes over, and her first instinct is like, this guy is the dude. So then she shakes his hand really hard to try to like check and see if his hand is like fucked up, and he's trying really hard to like be brave about it. He's all like, I don't want her to hurt my hand. He's like, it hurty, and he's all like, but I'm gonna be brave about it. I'm not gonna say anything because I can't let her know who I am, because I can't let her know who I am yet, because what if she fucking calls the cops on me? Oh my god. And he's like, I can't do that. So he does that, right? And then she's just like, damn, maybe it's not him. And they have some coffee, and he explains how difficult it is to actually hack into shit and what his job entails. And he's like, are you sure we shouldn't call the police on this guy that's like following you around? And she's like, no, trust me, I'm not in any danger. I just want to figure out who this guy is. I just want to get back at him. And he's like, okay. And they end up talking about it and whatever, and then she leaves. And it's also really, really funny, specifically because when she leaves, he's like standing there, and then he's like, yeah, I did it. She won't be able to catch on that it's me. She doesn't know. Hooray! And then it cuts to her, and then she's like, yeah, it's fucking him. Like, immediately. She's like, I know that it's the roommate. I just know that it's him. I know that he's the guy. And she's like, I know that he's the guy. Just from the way that they stand, the way that he moves around and everything, like, his kind of, like, the way that he carries himself. And then she's like, I know that it's him. Like, she can tell automatically. She's all like, instinct. She's like, I know it's him. You know? And also, she thinks he's hot anyway. So she's like, I don't mind, because, like, he's hot anyway, so who cares? Right? And she's like, I know that it's him. And low-key, I'm kind of into all of this weird stalker shit that he's doing anyway. So, like, whatever. So then, I forget what it is, but she expects him to be back at, she expects him to have broken into her house again, right? And like be there waiting for her, because like she kind of like taunted him or whatever, and was all like, oh yeah, like you're totally gonna be there waiting for me. But like he ended up passing out, and then he ended up not being there, and then he's like, oh my god. So then she instead decides to, like, again, you can tell, like, this shit does not matter to me. Like, this shit does not matter to me. She, like, plugs back in the camera, and she decides to, like, tease him via the camera to be all like, oh, like, this is what you're missing out on, or whatever, because you're not here, or whatever, right? Or, like, who gives a shit? Like, she does that, and then he shows up at her apartment, at her house, but he's, like, talking to the cat, and then he's like, no, mister. And then he's like, I have to go talk to mommy, or something like that. Like, he's already talking to the cat as if it was his cat, and as if they're the parents, and it's very, very silly. Like, it is, like, this book is the least fucking serious thing ever. And the author is like, this is a comedy. And I'm like, yeah, I can fucking tell. This is a comedy, because it's really fucking funny. Like, it has no business being as funny as it is. I'm gonna speed run through from this point on, because, like, the rest of, like, the weird, all of the smut shit literally does not matter. Like, it does not matter. So, like, basically he shows up, and he's all like, ooh, haha. And then, I don't know, they, like, sleep together, or whatever, who cares. And then it, like, skips to him, like, running home. He's like, I gotta rush home. Like, he ends up making her breakfast, I think. Like, he stays over, and he makes her breakfast, and he manages to get her to fall asleep. And also, he has one of those scream, you know, one of those little ghost face, like, voice things that makes your voice sound better than it actually is, that they use in Scream. He gets one of those so that he could, I'm telling you, the author is into Scream. I don't care. She is into Ghostface. Specifically, Matthew Lillard is Ghostface in the first Scream. I can tell. She is 100% into him. Anyway, no, moving on. So, like, I guess they, like, kind of sleep together, but also not really. And then he leaves, or whatever. Who gives a shit about all that? But she puts like a tracker in his car, and then he ends up like kind of fucking with her with the tracker. And she's like, I know it's you. I know it's you. I know that it's the roommate. And then he's like, oh my God, no. She's onto me, but I can't let her know that she's onto me. Ah. So he like runs away or whatever, right? He's like, no. And he like runs off. And then like she goes to work. And this is the part that I actually care. Like this part is where like the plot just goes like, what the fuck were you thinking, to the author? So then like what ends up happening is this. She works at the hospital, right? And this dude comes into the hospital who's a rapist. And the reason why he comes into the hospital is because he got the shit beat out of him, right? Like, bro got the shit beat out of him. And also, like, she dropped off some of the bloody bandages at one of the girls that works at, like, the lab or whatever, that could test DNA and check and see if there's a match, like, with paternity tests and shit. So she leaves it with her and she's like, hey, can you figure out who this dude is? And then she's like, yeah, sure, okay. Yeah, I could have it for you in like a week or two. And she's like, okay. So she sets that up. And then there's like this rapist in the ER. And because he got the shit beat out of him for being a fucking rapist, right? So then like she decides that she's gonna try to treat him or whatever, but he's like, you know, being a dick. So then she ends up like snapping at him and telling him off. And then he like backs off, but he starts whining and crying about it, you know, because like, you know, he's like a pathetic little man baby. And she's like, whatever. And then she sees a woman that looks just like her mom, like that got into a car accident, and it freaks her the fuck out. Like it triggers her trauma. She goes home. And she's like freaking out. And then he literally just shows up at her house. Again, like he's trying to hide his identity. But he like shows up at her house anyway. And she's like, I know it's you. Stop hiding your face. And he's like, no, you don't know that it's me. And he's like using like a deep Batman voice to try to like, you know, keep up the charade. And she's like, I know it's fucking you. And she's like, stop hiding. And he's like, no, it's not me. But he ends up like helping her through like some of her trauma or whatever. He helps her feel better. And he like helps her calm down. Like, cause she was like on the verge of like a panic attack or whatever. And he ends up helping her like, you know, kind of get all that emotion out. So then she's able to like actually cry about it. And she's actually able to like let out all of that feeling or whatever. So she's not like bottling it up anymore. So she feels better, you know? And he helps her out with all of that. And then the two of them end up like falling asleep or whatever. And then the thing is that he keeps forgetting, like he keeps trying to like change his voice so that she can't recognize him, but like he keeps accidentally using his real voice and she recognizes it. She's like, I know it's you. Literally stop pretending it's not you. And he's all like, no. like he's still scared at this. Like he's still like, what if she doesn't like me? And then she's like, I literally know it's you and I want you anyway. Like, whatever, who cares? Just make it obvious that it's you. And he's like, no. And he also still hasn't told her about his past with his dad or whatever, like his abusive father or whoever the fuck. But then, like, the two of them pass out. They wake up later, and, like, it turns out the reason why they're waking up is because, like, some loud-ass alarm is playing on his phone. And it turns out it's because someone's trying to break into her house. And it's the rapist dude from the hospital. Rapist dude broke into her house, presumably to try to rape and kill her. And then the main guy is all like, oh my god, rapist dude has showed up to try to rape and kill her. And he ends up punching him and knocks him out. Like, he knocks the dude out. And he's like, what do we do with him? And he's all like, I don't want to call the cops, because if we call the cops, they might try to pin something on me. Because rapist dude comes from a rich family. So they'll pay it off, and they'll also try to pin the blame on literally anyone else. They'll be all like, oh, it was someone else's fault. It was someone else's fault. So, like, he's worried. He's all like, this dude's family will try to pin it on whoever, and I'm the perfect scapegoat because, like, you know, my dad was a serial killer. But he still hasn't told her that his dad is a serial killer yet. He's all like, I would be the perfect scapegoat. You don't understand. I don't think this is a good idea. And then he's like, I don't think we should call the cops. What do we do? And she's like, wait a second, I know. And then she's like, I know the girl that his last victim. And the last time he was in the hospital was because one of her family members tried to beat the shit out of him, but got arrested before he could. And she's like, what if we drop him off at one of at the family's house? What if we tie him up and we drop him off at the family's house, and then the family could, like, beat the shit out of him, And then, like, maybe he'll stop raping people. And then he'll leave us alone. Like, he'll leave people alone. Like, maybe he's just, because he's always gotten out of it because of his rich family. And like, maybe if he has some sort of consequences for his actions and he gets the shit beat out of him, then we don't have to worry about it anymore. And then he's like, yeah, that's actually a good idea. Because again, they're both unhinged. Like, they should just call the cops. But like, no, they're not. They're like hatching some harebrained scheme to like, like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But it's so fucking funny. And both of them are not willing to call the cops. So they end up like tying him up and then they like gag him. But he wakes up and he's like yelling at them through the gag. They knock him out again. And then this time they like duct tape his mouth so that he can like they tie him up and they duct tape his mouth so that he won't be able to like spit out the gag and start screaming and yelling and throwing up or whatever. So they're all like, okay, let's duct tape his mouth. Let's do all this. Let's toss him into the trunk of our car and let's drive away. Right? So then they drive over to the house of like the victim's parents and he's like freaking the fuck out. And he's all like, what if this was and he's like, I don't know if this is a good idea. Maybe we should just call the cops. What if they end up calling the cops on us instead? Like, what are we going to do? And she's like, I don't know. First, let's go in there and let's try to pick him up and let's just kind of ding dong ditch. And he's like, okay. So they go over there to ding dong ditch and then he's all like, oh my God, dude's fucking awake. What do we do? Blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, wait a second. And then she's like, actually, we need to go to my plan B. And he's like, what do you mean plan B? What the fuck's going on? And it turns out when he slapped the tape over his mouth, bro slapped too big of a piece of tape and he accidentally covered up his nose too. So the rapist is dead. Like he died in the trunk of the car on their way there. So bro, dude immediately, the male lead immediately like freaks the fuck out and he has like a panic attack and he starts like throwing up because he's all like, oh my God, I'm just like my dad. Oh my God, I'm just like my, oh my God, I killed somebody. Oh my God, I killed somebody. Like he's having a whole mental breakdown about this. But her family's from the mob. So she's all like, it'll be fine. And then she's like, I know where to go. I know a guy who knows a guy. I know how to handle this. So she like just closes things up. And then they're all like, let's both like throw up anything we're going to throw up. Let's hop into the car and let's go to my family's house. And then he's all like, where the fuck are we going? And then she's like, we're going somewhere. I know a guy. And he's like, what do you mean you know a guy? And she's like, I know a guy. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So then she explains. She's like, look, my uncle is in the mob and his job is to clean up crime scenes. Like his literal job is to handle shit like this. And she's all like, so I'm going to go to my mob uncle. And the thing is that the thing with the mob is that they're obsessed with family. It's like, it's in the family. So even though she hasn't like talked to any of her mob family in who knows how fucking long, like she knows that she can go to her uncle and her uncle will help her out with it because like mob is all about family. So she's all like, mob is all about fucking family. I am his niece. I am the last member of the extended family left. And she's like, because my mom died, my dad died, my grandma and grandpa died, and I don't have any siblings. And then she's like, so I am the only member of that branch of the family left. If he wants to have any kind of connection with me, he has to help me. Like, essentially, you know, like that's her thought process. Is like, I can go to my uncle who's in the mob. He'll know how to handle it. It's literally his job. Like, it is his job to deal with shit like this. It's heavily implied that they live in like Chicago or that they live in like New York. In my head, they probably live in New York because, you know, fucking snow and all that shit. But, like, whatever. So, she goes to her uncle. And, like, the uncle shows up. And then he's all, like... And there's, this really funny bit because he asks her to be his girlfriend. She's like, yes, I'll be your girlfriend, you stupid fucking idiot. Like, I wanted to be your girlfriend this whole goddamn time. And he's like, oh, my God, really? like, he's so stupid. And then she makes it there. And then he's like, hey, don't talk to my girlfriend like that. And he's like, oh, she's my girlfriend. Like he's literally being like just goofy about it. And then she's like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. Like literally shut the fuck up. So they make it to her uncle's house. And then she meets her uncle. And her uncle immediately goes over there and hugs her. And then he's all like, my beautiful niece, I love you. Like, or whatever the fuck. And then he meets the boyfriend. And then he's like, who are you? Are you Italian? And he's like, I am half, he's like half Italian. That's another thing. Part of the reason why I am invested in this particular guy and I'm interested in him is A, he's tall, dark and handsome. B, he's fucking Italian. He's literally an Italian guy. And you know how I am with Italians. And C, he's based off of Matthew Lillard in fucking Scream. Like, I know he is. So it's like, this particular woman designed a guy that is a very specific cocktail of various types that I am interested in. So I'm all like, oh my god, like, and he's funny. He's really funny. So I'm all like, okay, this is really fucking funny. Which is the main reason why I'm finishing this fucking book. So then I go in, and he meets like her mob family, and then the mob family are like, okay, we're going to take care of the car. What car, make and model is his car? Do you know where his phone is? Let's take care of his phone. And then they're all like, let's take care of the body. The police are kind of looking at us. Let's make sure that nobody's trailing us. We're gonna have to hack into his computer to like wipe his computer. We're gonna have to do all this shit. Like they're doing like a whole step-by-step guide. And then they send her off with like one of her cousins to go take care of the body in the car, like her car and the body. And then they take him to go hack into the computer. And then the uncle is all like, tell me what happened. And then he explains more or less what happened. And then he's sitting there, and then he's all like, how do you know these things or whatever? And then he's like, he comes up with like some excuse or whatever, and he ends up like passing whatever familial test it is that they had for him. So then they take him to the house, like the family's house, to possibly like arrest him. Or to possibly like, like take care of like the computer and all that shit. But they're not able to take care of the computer because it turns out the cops are already there. So then they end up needing to leave because they can't stay there, and they have to make sure that they're not being tailed, and it's a whole thing, right? And so then she's waiting for him. While she's waiting for him, she manages to get back home after the car gets scrubbed and everything. She ends up going to his apartment, and at his apartment she ends up finding out that he's like, the son of a serial killer or whatever. So then she starts freaking the fuck out, but his roommate is at home. So she decides, I'm going to talk to the roommate about it because the two of them have been best friends since they were like 6. And then she's all like, so if he knows that this guy is like concerning in any way, he'll tell me. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, girl, he broke into your apartment. He has been stalking you for like weeks and or months at this point. And you're all like, just barely now, you're all like, what if he's dangerous? Like, girl, like, oh my god, whatever, like, whatever, they're both insane. They are both literally insane. So who gives a shit, right? So then she talks to the roommate, and the roommate's like, oh no, yeah, he's just like that. And then she's like, what do you mean and then he explains everything about it, and he's like, he's vegan because his dad low-key tried to like cannibalize some of his victims and make him eat them, and also like this happened and that happened and blah blah blah, and he's terrified of being like his dad because of some quack doctor that he went to back when he was like 7, and it's like a whole thing and this and that, and he's like super paranoid about everyone in his life possibly getting hurt because of the type of person that his dad is. So he like keeps tabs on everybody. He's like, yeah, I know. And she's like, what do you mean you fucking know? And then he's all like, well, yeah, he's just like that. He's been like that ever since we were teenagers. And then he's like, and since we were like in college and everything, he's always been like that. And he's like, he's always trying to keep tabs on everybody. And she's like, no, you don't understand. Like, he broke into my apartment. He like has been stalking me. He's watching me through the video cameras, like everywhere. He installed cameras in my house. He cloned my phone. And he's like, yeah, I fucking know. And she's like, what do you mean you know? And he's like, he did all that shit to me. Like, he's like, he has a GPS in my car. He had like this shit on my phone. He knows everywhere that I'm going. He knows what I'm doing. And then he's all like, but I still need to tell him what it is that I'm up to. And he's like, this one time I went to a bar and I went to go hook up with some girl, and I forgot to tell him, and he showed up at my hookup's house at 3 a.m, like crying and freaking out because he was scared that I was going to be skinned alive by my hookup. And then he's all like, yeah, that's what he's like. That is literally what he's like, because bro is like fucking traumatized to shitting back. He's convinced that if he doesn't know where everyone is at every single moment of every single day, that like they're gonna end up dead. And then he's all like, because of the type of person his dad is, he is legitimately terrified that like if he doesn't know where you are, that you're going to be like the next Ted Bundy victim. And then he's like, so
Like, that's why he's like that. And then she's like, oh my God. So that's why he's been stalking me. And the thing is that when he asked her to be his girlfriend, and he was all like, I'll treat you right, I'll give you all kinds of food, and blah, blah, blah. And also, there might be some light stalking, but whatever. You're into that, right? You're into that at this point. And she's like, you know what? Yeah, whatever. Who cares? Like, like she's used to it at this point. She doesn't care. So she's all like, you know what? That makes sense. And she's like, it makes sense that he is the way that he is. And he's nothing like his father. Because if he was like his father, he would have fucking filleted me alive by now. And then she's all like, he's nothing like his dad. And you know what? It's fine. Like, this is fine. So they end up having, like, I think, like, a heart-to-heart about it. And he's, like, low-key, like, whatever. He's, I guess they sleep together or some shit. I don't fucking know. Like, literally, I am not paying a lick of attention to that. Anyway, no, so I guess they sleep together or some shit. I don't fucking know. Like, the roommate leaves them alone, and it turns out the roommate may or may not have been matchmaking them the whole time. Like, it's heavily implied that the roommate had been trying to matchmake them because he knew that the two of them were both, like, the same level of crazy. So he was like, both of them are literally insane. Let me match the two of them together because they're both literally crazy. Like, And so like, he low-key matchmake them, and then he leaves. And then they're all like, okay, now what? And she's like, so I can't go back to my house until my uncle says it's okay for me to go back to my house. I have to lay low, and I have to like, kind of stay away from some of the family for now. And he's like, okay. So she makes it back to her house, and they, like, scrubbed her place spotless. Like, they set everything up for her house, and everything's fine. So then what ends up happening is that the mob comes back. Like, one of her cousins, he's already sitting around in her house, like, drinking coffee or some shit. And she's like, why the fuck are you in my house? And then he's all like, everybody made keys of your locks. And they also put a tracker in her car. And they did all this other shit. Because, they're the mob. They're going to do that shit. And then she's like, again, like, fucking stop it. And he's like, whatever. And then her cousin is all like, since we did you a favor, you got to do us a favor. And then she's like, what is it? And then he's like, he wants your uncle, my dad, he wants you to come over once a month to, like, have family dinner. And she's like, a family dinner? Like, what? And she starts arguing with her cousin. And while she's doing that, she hears a noise. She turns around. Like, her boyfriend is standing there eating popcorn. Like, he's watching the two of them fight. Like it's a WWE match or some shit. Like, he's eating popcorn. Like, it's an episode of fucking, like, Desperate Housewives. And it's ridiculous. But it helps, like, kind of break the tension so they're not arguing anymore. And then he agrees to go help them out with, like, some of the hacking of the computer. Because they weren't able to hack the computer before. Because of, like, that whole mess earlier. So then he ends up helping her hack the computer. Like, he goes over there to help them hack the computer. And it turns out the dude that they killed by accident, in his house, he has, like, actual dead bodies and shit. It turns out, like, the dude was, like, this wasn't his first rodeo. He had, like, murdered some people before. So dude was like, oh shit. And then everyone else was like, oh shit. And not only that, but they end up finding out about, like, some other stuff going on. So he's all like, oh shit. So, like, the dude that they killed's family comes back. So he's, like, trying to hack into his computer and get everything before the family end up catching him. So then him and the girl, they end up, like, they get left behind by the rest of the mob because she jumps out of the car for two reasons. One, she jumps out of the car because, like, he was going to take too long and she didn't want to leave him alone. And two, she jumps out of the car because she knows that the getaway car won't leave without her because she's family, but they might leave him behind. Because, again, he's the perfect scapegoat. So they're all like, he manages to hack into the computer. He wipes all of the information that could tie her location to any possible murder that happened to him or whatever. And then he jumps out the window, but then he breaks one of the windows on purpose so that the cops can come in and find the dead bodies before, like, the parents are able to cover anything up. Because the parents had showed up at this point, so he, like, breaks the window and he does all this shit so that the cops can, like, come in and see everything that's going on, immediately get a warrant, immediately start, like, looking into all of the women that he may or may not have killed, or all the people he may or may not have killed, right? So, like, the two of them end up running away. They manage to, like, hop into the getaway car, and then they make it home. The two of them low-key kind of have frostbite almost, but they're fine. They're fine. And then he ends up having a panic attack and freaks out in the shower, just like scrubbing himself for over half an hour with soap, because he's all like, I can smell the dead body on me, I can smell the dead body on me, I can smell the dead body on me, because it reminds him of some shit that happened when he was a kid with his dad. And then she's like, no, it's okay, it's fine, it's okay, it's fine. And she like helps him feel better. Like it's her turn to help him through like some sort of like weirdo like meltdown panic attack or whatever. So she helps him out, and the two of them are like, okay. And I guess they sleep together, who gives a shit. And then like after that they go to visit the family like a month later. And they go to visit the family. She changed out all her locks and everything, and she ends up telling off her cousin, where she's all like, don't use my boyfriend as a scapegoat. If you do that, I will never see you again. Like, I literally don't care, blah, blah, blah. So it turns into like a whole back and forth. But they go to visit the family for dinner. And then the uncle ends up telling them about everything that happened. Like, most of the family, except for the uncle, except like the boyfriend in. But the uncle doesn't, because he knows that he's like the son of the serial killer. So he's like, I don't trust him. I don't trust him around my girl or whatever, you know. So he gets all, you know, if you hurt my niece, I swear to God, I don't trust you. You're not family or whatever, you know. But they end up getting into like a kind of a sparring match where the dude proves that he's literally completely insane, and that he's willing to screw over the mob if it means like being able to stay with his girlfriend or whatever, you know. And then the uncle is all like, Jesus fucking Christ, you are literally insane. He's like, what the fuck? But at the same time, like, his niece is fucking insane anyway. So they're able to get away with the murder or whatever. They end up like, I forget what else happens, but some other shit happens where they are all like, okay, we did this, this, and this in order to get away with it. The cops don't even know he's fucking dead. They think that he's in Canada. It's a whole thing. So then, like, the two of them are happy. And he ends up telling her that he loves her. And the thing is that he was freaking out about telling her that he loves her, because he's like, what if I'm moving too fast? Like, they've been together for like who knows how long at this point. And he's like, what if I'm moving too fast? I'm scared. And he's like, I love you. And then she's like, yeah, I fucking know. You talk in your sleep. You've been saying it for the past like 2 fucking weeks in your sleep. I know. And he's like, oh. And she's like, I love you too. You're just fucking stupid. And he's like, okay. And then like there's a little epilogue of the two of them out in the forest where he's like chasing her down, and they're doing that whole like, oh no, am I the victim or whatever, where he's like chasing her down. He's not even wearing a mask anymore at this point. He's just like chasing her down for the thrill of it or whatever. And then he manages to catch her, and then in the end, like, she's all like, marry me. But then she's like, oh my God, I didn't mean to say that. What the fuck? And it turns out he was about to propose to her too. Like, this is like, I don't know, a few years into the future, I think. And he ends up proposing to her, and then she accepts. And then like, you know, now they're engaged. And then she goes to, like, they go on their like little romantic vacation getaway or whatever. Oh my God. So the two of them get engaged, and they like, and then like their cats wreak havoc in the Airbnb, and it's very silly. And it's the least serious thing ever. And it's just really cute and funny and whatever. And the thing is that, like, the book is legitimately just not serious. Like, it is the least serious thing I have ever fucking read. It is literally just like, the two of them are literally insane. Like, both of them are crazy insane. And it is so fucking funny. Because both of them are acting like this is normal behavior. Like, they're both trying to rationalize their behavior. I was like, this is totally normal. And it's like, girl, it is not. This is not normal. Like, love seeing two completely crazy people get together. Because, like, good for them. Good for you. But, like, girl, that is not normal. Also, it's just so funny to me how this girl is... It's literally just Scream fanfiction. Like, this girl is like, it's not Scream fanfic, it is. It's fucking Scream fanfic. She picked the more well-adjusted of the two Scream boys to make fanfiction about. Which makes absolute sense to me. Because like, Stu is legitimately more... You know, he's like the least crazy of the two of them. And he's also the most likely to, like, cry about stuff where he's all like, oh my God, how could this happen to me? Like, that kind of guy. So I'm all like, It's literally just Stu from Scream. Oh my god. It is literally just Stu from Scream. Just dead ass it is. And it's like, it is so fucking funny. There are so many really, really funny moments because I need you to understand just how unhinged this book is. It is literally insane. Like, it is so funny. Oh my god. Oh my god, I can't. Like, this book was specifically, like, half of this book was specifically written for me because I love seeing two crazy freaks end up together. But the rest of it is just like, okay, whatever, I don't care. Like I skim through it. I'm just like, okay, this is happening, whatever. But like, also the cat. Like, he literally refers to the cat like it's his child. He's all like, Mommy and Daddy are busy right now. And then he's like, I don't want to traumatize our child. And it's so silly. Like, it is the least serious thing ever. Anyway, so that's the story, and that's the book. And I read the whole thing in one sitting. And this is the first time in a long time that I've read a book all in one sitting where it was actually well written. But also, you can tell that this girl spends a lot of time chronically online because she described the way that the cat was meowing as singing the song of his people. Like, she has a lot of like those little things interspersed in it where she was like, oh, he was singing the song of his people, or she like references movies and TV shows and all this other shit, and it's very aggressively obvious the kind of shit that she's into and the kind of shit that she personally thinks it's funny and the kind of TV shows and stuff like that that she's interested in. So I'm all like, low key, I want to buy a physical copy of this book because I think it is genuinely just so fucking funny, and I think it's a good pick me up. Like, if you need something as like a pick me up to distract yourself for a little while and get lost in for a little bit, that's just like completely unhinged and crazy insane, but also just really, really fucking funny. And it's like, you know what? These two fucking deserve each other. Like, that's what this is. That is literally what this is. And that's one of my favorite genres of stuff, is like when two completely insane people match each other's freak. Like, that is my favorite thing. Anyway, no, yeah. So that's the book. So, sure. That's what happened. That's the whole story. It is not serious. It is the least serious thing that I read. And the thing is that I went through some of the comments for the book, and everyone is like, this is so unserious. And I'm like, exactly. You people get it. You know that it's not serious. You know that it's not fucking serious. Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god. Anyway, no. So that happened. And apparently, like, this is a rare type of one of these dark romance books where, like, most of them aren't really comedies. Like, they play everything super serious and super straight, and it's like, no wonder I'm not interested in any of those books, because they're not getting funny with it. They're not being silly. If it's not going to be silly, what's the point? Anyway, no. So that's what's going on. That's the book. Hopefully you find this entertaining. I deadass feel like I have lost my voice. Anyway, no, so that's what's going on. Okay, bye.
Fuck. That was the absolute last thing I wanted. How did I fix this? I was half tempted to send her a DM explaining myself, but how would that work? Hey, Allie, it's me, the man who broke into your house. I was just watching you through the camera I hid in your room, and I wanted to let you know that you are correct. I am not, in fact, a serial killer. Jesus Christ.